Hello and welcome to the Week 7 recap for the NFFL. I'm still using the standard Dell webcam Central for recording, and there's going to be a delay on this like there always is. James mentioned something about using a YouTube capture, I believe. I have to talk to him about that because hopefully that will work better than this piece of shit software that I have on my computer right now. Anyways, onto the recaps here. This is the second consecutive week of the Landry division putting the Lombardi division in its place. All that trash talking early on about scoring points and stuff, and Landry division just gives a big fuck off to Lombardi division. I love it because I get to hear about it at work, and it's adds a little more enjoyment to the league for me personally, that people can trash talk and go back and forth and whatnot. So it's kind of fun, and it's never personal, so it's always really cool that you can go back and forth a little bit. Both these divisions are pretty bunched up. I really only think at this point that there's two teams out of it. Those two teams I think could play spoiler, of course, and it'll be interesting to see how they do with transactions moving forward, possibly preparing for 2011 if they believe they're out of it as well. But a lot of teams with a chance still at this late in the game is pretty cool. Hopefully it makes for some exciting races coming down the stretch, but we'll just have to see what happens, I suppose. So the first matchup here was Turf Toes at Eskimo Brothers. Basically here the analysis of this match was I am lucky. I would have only beat two teams this week with Cutler not performing up to par and some bye weeks and whatnot. But fortunately my opponent also had bye weeks and injuries and wasn't able to put enough points up to take advantage of my inferior week to the league. The one play I made that I thought was really good, and the key to the match here was Todd Heap. Wasn't sure he was going to play, so I picked up Gresham just in case. I needed to make a quick change on my phone Sunday since I was in Knoxville all weekend, but Heap did play, and I noticed he was playing the worst defense against tight ends. So I thought it was a really strong matchup. I didn't expect 2 touchdowns, but I expected a good match, and he did well for me, as well as Percy Harvin. That's basically the only players that did anything worth the lick for both teams. So all the running backs for both teams were basically worthless. But so I pull out the win there. Next up we have Ninja Turtles and Team Hasselhoff. This came down to Monday Night Football. All pro players for these teams were Steven Jackson, Ninja Turtles wide receivers, Kansas City defense, Matt Ryan, King Nix, Mike Williams, and Seattle's defense. Defense is playing a role here in this one. Hasselhoff's running backs didn't perform too well, but it didn't seem to matter because going into Monday night, it was close, 2-point game. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Andrew was going to pull out the win, but Nix went crazy and Romo got hurt, and it'll be interesting to see what Andrew does to shore up the situation. Broken clavicle, likely out for all intents and purposes the duration of the fantasy year. And since Dallas is out of it, I expect him to be out basically the entire year. So that's a tough loss for Andrew there. And Team Hasselhoff pulls out the second win for the Lombardi division. That would prove to be the only wins for this division this week. I see I'm probably going to run along a little longer than my 5 or 6 minutes that I usually try to do, but I'll try to just keep it fast anyways. Next up we have Weckman X at Fear of Heights. Good players here were Breeze, Marino, and Bolden, Ward, Bronis, Big Ben, and Akers, and Roy Williams didn't even have a single catch this week. I guess he's probably going to be pretty feast or famine. Saints D didn't do too well, or neither did Carlson, who Height apparently hates. Here, basically Height put up a decent week, and he'll win most of the time, scoring in the 90s, but West just has a strong team that keeps putting up points week in and week out. He now actually sits with a perfect 36 power ranking, leading the league in breakdown, points scored, and record. So it's a strong team for sure. Some people, though, apparently think West got a little bit lucky since Marino got some scores when Denver was getting destroyed. I tend to disagree, but other people think West is lucky, and I'm not going to disagree with that. White almost started Lee Evans this week, and that would have been a difference in the game. He did not play him. He scored 3 times on his bench. Ouch. Next up here, we have the Icon C excitement at the Oracle. Chris can't buy a break. His team just cannot score. I'm constantly baffled by how his team seems great on paper and just never puts up the points. I just really don't get it. Or when he does put up the points, someone else puts up a lot more. I think his team is better than 2-5, but almost 100 for Turco, who gets win number 2 on the year and has put up a couple of weeks in a row here of some pretty good performance. Des Bryant apparently is a monster. My personal opinion, I believe he's a tier 3. I'm not sure. I probably wouldn't trade him to anyone if I was Turco. If he keeps playing reasonably well the rest of the year, and he could be a really big time sleeper next year. But that's just kind of my opinion there. And Chris, you can't ever fault someone for starting Gore and Mendenhall, ever, basically, unless they're hurt. But Darren McFadden is on his bench this week going crazy against the Denver Broncos. I guess the only good news here for Randy, who's a lifelong Broncos fan, is that even though his team got beat by the Raiders and McFadden, at least his fantasy team didn't get beat by McFadden as well. Steve Johnson also put over 20 up on Chris's bench, and he's turned out to be a pretty good pickup for this year. And next up, we have Hurricane Ditka at Team Acme. Poor Dan / Kimmy / Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, whatever the fuck it is. He is the anti-Brian Tim this week. She, that team there. Putting up the second most points in the league and taking the loss is always tough to swallow. Pretty tough one there for them. In fact, he lost by like 30. James' wide receivers went buck wild, scoring almost 80 points. He actually was 1 point away from outscoring 3 teams in the league. He did outscore 2 teams with his receivers alone. Pretty amazing. And I do think Kenny Britt's for real. Obviously, Roddy White's for real. Story here also is, besides Team Acme's bad luck, was Sunday Night Football. Favre had a chance here. It scored like 15.2 points to have James have the all-time record for points scored in a week for the NFFL, which would have been pretty impressive. But unfortunately, he did not play very well, kind of like he has all year. And we learn now he has 2 broken bones in his foot, and it's kind of tossing up in the air whether he's going to keep playing for a while or take a break. Who knows? But that doesn't bode well for James there after making a lot of good moves to get back in contention. So we'll see if he does anything about the quarterback situation or not. And finally, we have Motor City Freshness at Scrubs, formerly Gridiron. Basically, this match looks a lot closer than it really was. Bill didn't get like any performance at all from his real players, I guess as I call them, quarterback, running back, wide receivers. But his fantasy special teams came up with over 55 points, or almost 55, and he's just not going to get the help he needs to compete without making some moves here and there. Whether it's for this year or next year, I think Bill needs to make some moves to either get his team going this year if he's not giving in, or to prepare for next year. He could definitely break someone like Peyton into a few pieces and get going there. The other side of the match was Morrissey Freshness, and his team's finally starting to play like he's capable of playing. I thought he had a strong team at the beginning of the year, and I still think he has a strong team. And guys in the Landry division need to watch out for this team in the second half here. I think he can really make some noise. Creeping up on 10 minutes here, so I guess I'm going to try to end this here. Sorry for running so long. A little bit long-winded this week, and hopefully you still enjoy it regardless. So stay tuned for later this week when I will give you a Week 8 preview. I won't be going to Knoxville this weekend, so I'll be around to do that. And good luck to everyone this week, except for Wes, who is going to get destroyed. So take care.